All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 140-pound division and 35-pound division, where there's a lot of talk about big fights. Gervonta Davis is having a hard time right now because he says that he may have to retire from the sport because of issues that he's having with the judge that is not behaving very friendly towards him. But you also have two very big fights that are coming up in the 135 and 140-pound division, including Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. And there's a lot of talk going on in boxing about how either one of those two fighters are going to wind up fighting Gervonta Davis. Well, I've talked to somebody that talked about that I have a lot of respect for, that said, look, man, you guys got your eyes on the wrong prize, and that Gervonta Davis, in order to do what is important for Gervonta Davis's career and what he is trying to achieve, that the fight for him is not with Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson. It's with somebody else. And this other person has just as much traction and has just as much of an accomplishment as either Shakur or Devin Haney. And he goes by the name of Teofimo Lopez. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135, 140-pound division, where there's a lot of talk about who the best fighters in those divisions are. What are the big fights that need to be made? What are the big fights that can be made, should be made, and the like, right? Because really, we're getting a lot of talk between all of the top guys in those divisions about whose resume is the best, who's done the best, who's trying to make the fights, and all of that, what I consider to be a bunch of malarkey. Because truth be told, none of them are fighting each other, with the exception of Vasily Lomachenko, who later on in his career became a stepping stone for a few of the younger fighters that we're talking about. Unfortunately for Shakur Stevenson, Bob Arum is not allowing him to step over the top of Vasily Lomachenko to join the crew of people that have done it. However, at the end of the day, it's a bunch of people that have a bunch of top guys that have not fought each other, with the exception of, depending on, your memory, Gervonta Davis, who fought Ryan Garcia, who was at a point in time considered to be one of those top guys in the 135-pound division. But the conversations going on are about, when is Gervonta Davis going to man up and fight Devin Haney? When is Gervonta going to man up and fight Shakur? Well, I spoke with somebody that I consider to be an expert. I share their opinion often on the channel. And they were like, look, man, when you look at all of the things related to boxing, and what people's goals are and what is really important in boxing, really truly important in boxing, which is fans being interested in fights and getting the fights that the fans want, and the fighters getting out of it what the fighters want, which is money, right? Money and accolades, and the sport fans getting, which is the fights that they want to see. That the big fight to be made is Gervonta Davis and Teofimo Lopez, and not Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, and that Devin Haney and Shakur are missing an opportunity by not fighting one another, because they are still basically fighting over the same demographic of boxing fans that has already been conquered and are in the bag for Gervonta Davis, whether they like it or not like it. And they're in a position where those two guys need to fight each other. And I'll explain it, or the thought behind it. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It absolutely positively makes a big, big difference to the channel. All right, so what's important in boxing? For boxing fans, it is getting the fights that you want to see. For fighters, it's getting the accolades that they want and the money that they want. Those are the goals. Now, you can say for in particular boxer that the accolades can be championships. It can be a legacy where everybody thinks that the guys that he beat were really good fighters and he'll be able to get to the Hall of Fame. The other accolade is the money in the bank that you get for the fights that you have, right? You can have some part, one is not mutual, they are not mutually exclusive. A person can want both. And a person can prioritize between the two, right? What do fans get? Fans get the fights that they want to see. They get an exciting evening of entertainment, and they get to talk about boxing, for in between the fight and the end of that one fight and the beginning of the next fight, and keep the banter and the talk up that people really do enjoy about boxing. So with that in mind, what is the fight for Gervonta Davis? The argument is that the fight for Gervonta Davis to get what Gervonta Davis wants, which is money and accolades, is not Devin Haney, not Shakur Stevenson. It is Teofimo Lopez. And why would that be? Because Teofimo, the argument goes, because Teofimo Lopez offers everything that Shakur Stevenson offers. He offers everything that let me say that again. Teofimo Lopez offers to Gervonta Davis everything that Devin Haney offers to him. He also offers everything, he being Teofimo Lopez, offers to Gervonta Davis everything that Shakur Stevenson would get from fighting Shakur Stevenson. And what is that? He would get to fight a former a unified world champion, in reality, a former undisputed world champion. And I don't care what any of y'all say in this comment section trying to remove the accomplishment that Teofimo Lopez has, because it's not your vote. It's up to the WBC who their champion is. It's up to the WBA individually who their champion is, and who the WBO champion is up to the WBO, and who the IBF champion is up to the IBF. Whether you like it or not, Teofimo Lopez was named champion in each one of those divisions. Whether you like the WBC's decision or not, it's their decision. But as of right now, he is not the undisputed champion. And as of right now, Devin Haney is not the undisputed champion at 135 pounds either. Devin Haney has 3 belts. He does not have the 4th belt, because the 4th belt will be the property of either Edwin De Los Santos or, more likely than not, Shakur Stevenson. So what does Devin have to offer Gervonta Davis? 3 belts. And if the fight's at 135, if it's at 140, and assume he gets past Regis Prograis, which is, you can assume, but it ain't guaranteed, another 1 belt, right? What does Teofimo Lopez have to offer Gervonta Davis? A belt at 140. Also, he's a top pound for pound fighter on a lot of people's lists. He had a one-off, couple bad performances, but he knocked off a former undisputed champion. So, but what does Teofimo Lopez have to offer that those guys don't have to offer? An entirely separate fan base and when you have that fan base that Shakur does not have, and Devin does not have, and Gervonta Davis has a piece of, which is the Latino fan base, then you get more money. Now, what about what the fans get? Now, when you talk about fans, you have to talk about all the fans, even though some of y'all are highly obnoxious. Highly obnoxious. But you still count as fans if you're going to buy the fight. Gervonta Davis did 1.6 million, or between 1.2 and 1.4 million pay-per-view buys against Ryan Garcia. Those guys are not buying Shakur Stevenson fights, or most of those guys are not buying Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney fights. But will those same people that are not buying Shakur fights, or not buying Devin fights, are not always buying the Gervonta Davis fights, are they going to be willing to buy a fight with Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis? They very well may be. So as far as what is moving Gervonta Davis to the next level, the fight for him is trying to find a way to get in there with Teofimo Lopez and not a way to try to find to get in there with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Now, at the same time, though, what's smart for Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson is to fight each other, because if those guys fight each other, they're going to galvanize a portion of the black fan base, and that black fan base could then have a rivalry going within it, and you may get to a 650,000, 700,000 pay-per-view buy show like Errol and Terrence had, right? But if Errol had fought Canelo Alvarez, man, it may have been significantly better. But anyway, that's the gist of the argument. And I got to say, I think that I agree with it. I think it's a very sound logic. And I think it is something that makes sense for everybody involved. It's too bad that Devin and Shakur could not get together and have that fight and figure out who the best of those two guys are, so that would be one less person or one less option on the plate of Gervonta Davis. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.